You are not lazy, at least not in the way you think, because lazy people do not obsess over their future at 2 a.m. Lazy people do not dream about becoming more, and they definitely do not hate themselves for wasting time. But you do. You want more from your life. You think about success constantly. You imagine the version of yourself you could become. Focused, disciplined, dangerous. And yet, most days you do nothing. You delay, you avoid, you scroll, you wait for motivation to arrive, then the day disappears, and at night the guilt hits you again. That strange feeling of knowing you are capable of more, while watching yourself become less. That is the psychology of being ambitious but lazy. And if you do not understand what is actually happening inside your mind, this cycle will keep running your life for years. Because this is not just procrastination. It is deeper than that. Your brain has learned to choose comfort over growth, safety over action, fantasy over reality. And until you break that pattern, your potential will stay trapped inside your head. What you are about to hear is not motivation. It is the truth about why you feel stuck, why discipline feels impossible, why your mind keeps sabotaging the future you want, and most importantly, how people finally escape this cycle. Stay until the end, because the last part is the difference between people who stay stuck forever and people who become unrecognizable. Chapter 1. The dream that goes nowhere. You can see it. The life you want. The version of yourself you are supposed to become. It feels close enough to touch. You have thought about it so many times that the details are sharp, the vision is clear, and the belief that you could do it on the right day with the right energy feels completely real. But the right day never seems to come. You wake up with intention. Today is different. Today you are going to start, and then the morning slips away. The afternoon disappears. By evening you are lying there, with that familiar weight in your chest, the quiet, heavy guilt of another wasted day. You promise yourself tomorrow will be different, and you mean it. You genuinely mean it. But tomorrow arrives and the cycle starts again. This has been going on for months, maybe years, and somewhere underneath all the plans and the promises, a darker thought is growing. What if this is just who you are? It is not. But you will not be able to stop it with willpower alone. First, you need to understand what is actually happening inside you. Chapter 2. The war inside your own head. Your brain is not working against you on purpose. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. And that is the problem. There are two forces running inside you at all times. One part of you wants to grow. It sets goals, imagines success, feels the pull of something bigger. But there is another part, older, louder, and far more powerful in the short term that wants you to stay safe. That part does not care about your ambitions. It cares about right now. It wants comfort. It wants certainty. It wants the easy path. And when you sit down to do the hard thing, to start the work, to face the blank page, to make the difficult call, your brain reads that discomfort as a signal of danger. It offers you an exit. Your phone, a video, something that feels good right now. You take the exit. Your brain gets a small reward. And it remembers, the next time the hard thing appears, the exit is offered faster. The pull toward avoidance gets stronger. The habit of avoiding deepens. This is not weakness. This is a pattern your brain built to protect you. But protection from short-term discomfort is creating long-term emptiness. And every day you let the pattern run, you are teaching yourself that your goals do not matter enough to fight for. Chapter 3. The Perfectionism Trap. Here is something you might not want to admit. You are not waiting because you are lazy. You are waiting because you are afraid. And the way that fear shows up, the disguise it wears, is perfectionism. You are waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect time, the perfect version of yourself that is finally ready to do this properly. You want everything in place before you begin. And because perfect never arrives, you never begin. Perfectionism feels like ambition. It feels like high standards, but it is not. It is fear wearing a sophisticated mask. It is your mind giving you a socially acceptable reason to avoid the one thing you are most afraid of finding out, whether you can actually do this. Because here is the brutal truth underneath all the planning and the preparation. As long as you never truly try, you can keep the dream alive. You can keep telling yourself you would succeed if you really committed. But the moment you try and fail, that story is threatened. And some part of you would rather protect the story than risk the reality. The dream is comfortable, the work is not, and so you stay in the dream. But a dream you never pursue is not inspiration. It is just a more elegant form of giving up. Chapter 4. What failure actually is. You have the relationship between failure and success completely backwards, and it is costing you everything. Failure is not the thing that stands between you and success. Inaction is. Failure teaches you. Failure shows you what does not work, what needs adjusting, where the gap is between where you are and where you need to be. Every person you admire, every person who built something real, has failed more times than you have even attempted. The difference between them and you is not talent. It is not luck. It is that they kept moving after the failure. They took imperfect action. They started before they were ready. And they built momentum not by waiting to feel motivated, but by moving and letting the motivation follow. You are not going to feel ready. That feeling is not coming. The people who changed their lives did not feel ready either. They just decided that waiting for ready was a worse option than starting without it. That decision, that single shift in how you relate to discomfort, is what separates the people who build something from the people who only imagine it. Chapter 5. The discipline nobody talks about. Everyone talks about discipline like it is a personality trait, like some people are born with it and some people are not. That is not true. Discipline is a skill, and like every skill, it is built through repetition specifically. Through the repetition of doing the hard thing when every part of you wants to do the easy thing instead. The first few times you choose action over avoidance, it will feel like dragging yourself through concrete. Your brain will protest. It will tell you that you are tired, that you deserve a rest, that you can start fresh tomorrow. And you are going to have to ignore all of it. You are going to have to sit down and begin anyway. Not because you feel like it, especially because you do not. Because every single time you act despite the resistance, something changes in you. Your brain begins to learn that discomfort is survivable, that the threat it was protecting you from was not a real threat at all. The resistance does not disappear overnight, but it gets quieter. It loses authority, and what once felt like an impossible wall begins to feel like a door you know how to open. Start smaller than you think you need to. 15 minutes of real work, one paragraph, one task completed. It does not need to be impressive, it needs to be done. Because done, however imperfect, is the only thing that builds momentum. And momentum is the only thing that eventually makes this feel less like a fight. Chapter 6. Your environment is running your life. You think your struggle is a willpower problem. It is not. It is a design problem. Look around you right now. Your phone is within reach. Your notifications are on. Your workspace has 5 things on it that have nothing to do with your goals. The television is a few seconds away. Every one of these things is a silent pull, a constant low-level drain on your attention that you are fighting against every single moment you try to focus. Successful people do not win because they have stronger willpower. They win because they stop relying on willpower entirely. They design their environment so that the path of least resistance leads toward the work, not away from it. They make distraction inconvenient. They make focus the default. They remove the decisions that drain energy and replace them with structures that produce results automatically. Put your phone in another room. Turn off every notification that is not an emergency. Clear your workspace of everything that does not belong there. Set a specific time for focused work and protect that time with the same seriousness you would give to something that actually mattered. Because it does. The environment you live in is quietly building habits in you every single day. The question is whether those habits are being built intentionally or by accident. Chapter 7. Learning is not the same as doing. There is one habit that is silently killing your progress, and it is disguised as productivity. You are consuming too much. videos about success, podcasts about discipline, articles about productivity systems, and all of it feels useful. It feels like forward movement, but it is not. It is the most sophisticated form of avoidance there is because it lets your brain feel like it is working toward your goals without ever having to risk anything. You do not need more information. You have not been stuck because you lacked knowledge. You have been stuck because knowledge without action is just entertainment. The information was never the problem. The gap between knowing and doing that is the problem. And no amount of additional knowledge closes that gap. Only action closes it. After this is over, do not go looking for the next thing to watch or read. Go do one thing. One specific, concrete, uncomfortable thing that moves you toward what you actually want. That single act of execution is worth more than 100 hours of consumption. Chapter 8. The courage to be bad at something. Your first attempt at the thing you want to build is going to be bad. Not because you are not capable, but because first attempts are always rough. That is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. That is just what starting looks like. The mistake most people make is expecting their beginning to look like someone else's middle. They compare their day 1 to another person's year 5. And when it does not measure up, when the work feels clumsy and the results are nowhere near the vision, they take that as evidence that they should stop, that they were not meant for this, that the dream was just a fantasy. But bad early work is not a reason to stop. It is proof that you started, and starting is the only way anything ever gets better. Quality does not come first, consistency comes first. You show up, you do the work imperfectly, and over time the work gets sharper. But none of that is available to you until you are willing to begin with something that is not yet good enough. Stop waiting to be ready. Start building the experience that makes you ready. Chapter 9. The day you fall apart is not the end. You are going to have a bad day. You are going to fall back into the old pattern. You are going to skip a day, make the wrong choice, lose the streak, and feel like you are back at square one. That is not failure. That is a completely normal part of changing. The people who eventually break their patterns are not the ones who never stumble. They are the ones who refuse to let a single stumble become a story about who they are. One bad day does not erase the work you have done. One mistake does not mean the whole thing is over. The only thing that matters after a setback is what you do next. Do you let one rough day become 2? Do you let 2 become a week? Or do you acknowledge it, set it down, and start again the next morning? Progress is not a straight line. It never has been for anyone. What makes the difference is not perfection, it is the willingness to come back every single time. Without dramatic declarations or fresh starts. Just quietly showing up again and continuing. Chapter 10. Stop punishing yourself into progress. The guilt you feel at the end of a wasted day is not helping you. The shame you carry about how long you have been stuck is not moving you forward. In fact, it is doing the opposite. When you lie awake hating yourself for what you did not do, you are not motivating yourself for tomorrow. You are reinforcing the belief that you are someone who fails, and your brain will act accordingly. Self-compassion is not about making excuses. It is not about lowering the standard or pretending the wasted time did not matter. It is about understanding that the way you speak to yourself after a setback determines whether you try again or give up entirely. Talk to yourself with the honesty and the kindness you would offer someone you actually wanted to see succeed. You fell short today. Fine. What is one thing you can do right now? Start there. The weight of accumulated self-judgment is one of the heaviest things you carry. Put it down, not because you deserve to be let off the hook, but because you cannot run carrying that kind of weight. Chapter 11. The person you are becoming. Lazy is not who you are. It is what you have been doing, and there is a difference that matters more than you know. Who you are is someone with genuine potential, real dreams, and the capacity to change. What you have been doing is avoiding discomfort because your brain has not yet learned that discomfort is the price of growth. But now you see the pattern. You understand what has been running underneath all of it. And understanding is the beginning of everything. The version of you that you have been imagining, the one that is focused, disciplined, consistent, unrecognizable compared to where you are now, that version is not a fantasy. It is just you, after the work, after the days you acted despite the resistance. After the imperfect attempts that slowly became competence, after the stumbles you refused to turn into reasons to quit. That person is not waiting for the right circumstances. They are built through the wrong circumstances, faced and overcome, one small choice at a time. You do not need to become them overnight. You just need to take one real step today, and then another tomorrow, and then another. Not because you feel like it, because you decided to. That decision made and remade every single day is what eventually turns into a life you are proud of. The time is going to pass regardless. The only question is who you are going to be on the other side of it. You just heard 11 things that most people spend years trying to figure out and most never do. You now understand why your brain pulls you toward comfort. You understand why perfectionism is fear in disguise. You understand why motivation is not the answer and discipline is not a personality trait. You understand why your environment shapes you more than your intentions, and why self-compassion is not weakness. It is the foundation that makes lasting change possible. But none of this means anything if you do not use it. Right now, before you open another tab, before you pick up your phone, before you let the moment pass, decide on one thing. One small, specific action that moves you toward who you are trying to become. Do it today. Not because it will change everything instantly, but because it will prove to your brain that this time is different, that you are serious, that the pattern stops here. That is where real change begins. Not in the planning, not in the watching, in the doing. If this hit something real in you, if any part of this made you see yourself differently, then this channel is exactly where you belong. Every video here is built for the person who is done settling, done waiting, and ready to actually build something. Hit subscribe. Show up tomorrow. Keep going. The version of you that you came here looking for is closer than you think.